On the Fringe with Dan radio style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. This dude's probably going to be in a crap ton of trouble. We'll see, again, how it all plays out. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves. There's going to be a lot of attempts at distraction prior to this playing out. Understand that as well. Epstein is a part of that. We'll talk more about all of these things. Got a lot of news to get into, and I don't want to waste a bunch of time dilly-dallying. The Babylon Bee put out a very, very funny post. They said Obama argues he can't be charged with treason since he wasn't born in America. Right? I mean, that's pretty solid logic there. I think it was Donald Trump initially that was trying to prove he wasn't born in America. If you guys remember those days. Army Special Operations Command is issuing a terror threat for retired DOD officials in Florida. This is something to be taken serious, guys. This message is to inform you of a recent duty to warn notification regarding a potential terrorist threat targeting retired senior officials who previously served in the Department of Defense with roles in the Syria-Iraq theater. The current geographic focus of this threat is Florida. While this threat does not directly target active duty personnel, there is some reason they're looking out for people that are retired or not working anymore. So please, if you are somebody that falls in line with, and that's probably some people in my audience for sure, be careful. Keep your head on a swivel. Make sure you're prepared and ready at all times. And be careful who you answer the door to. Be very careful that you help family members understand that for a short period of time, they're going to need to sort of help with this extra security. So please just, again, don't open the door to anybody, really. I don't mean anybody. I mean, take your own precautions. You know what you got to do. But this is concerning. So a lot's happening, and Florida, I guess, is dealing with a big-time Islamic takeover. Again, the states that they are most going after are the ones that they most need to take control or at least knock back a few steps, make more communist. So Florida and Texas are very high on that list, especially considering how they helped out Trump. Insurers are requesting huge Obamacare rate hikes, many over 20%. Medical care costs are staggering, and insurance companies are asking for giant enhancements in the rates and how much they charge customers. Minnesota is the lowest on this particular list. Looks like it's about 18, 17%. Michigan about the same. Maryland's about 19. Maine about 19. Looks like Texas is 21%. Rhode Island 21. Georgia 21. Washington State looks to be 22. Vermont 23. 25 even maybe for Vermont. And Illinois looks like it's pushing 26. Hard to say. Big rate changes, guys. This is not going to be good in the big picture. LA wildfires broke record for costliest insured fire losses ever. $40 billion, they're saying, just for the one Palisades fire, I believe. And when they include the Eaton fire, it gets up to about $65 billion. So, yeah, very, very expensive. This is also the one where they're giving them or selling for low prices the property so they can put low-income housing in what used to be a very nice neighborhood. Really sad what's happened. Also weird, bridge crossing at the 12-Mile River is partially collapsed in Pickens County, South Carolina. There's still a lane open, fortunately. Doesn't look like there's any cars in the water, but that's concerning, obviously, too. So, what else we got here? We got more stuff. Oh, yeah, Kristi Noem doesn't mince words. She's pretty pissed off at these liberal cities, especially after, a Border Patrol agent gets shot in the park in his face. Kristi Noem's a little pissed off right now.
How many more lives will it take? How many more people have to be hurt and victimized before we have public safety be a number one priority in some of our largest cities? When I look at what Mayor Adams has done to New York City, it breaks my heart to see the families that have suffered because of his policies. We can look across this country at other mayors. We look at Mayor Wu in Boston and what has happened there under her watch. What's happened in L.A. with the riots and the violence and the protests that have gone on because of Mayor Bass and what she has perpetuated. When you look at Mayor Johnson in Chicago and how devastating it is to live in that city and some of those poorest communities, how they suffer every single day with the violence that's in front of them, just because these individuals are protecting criminals. They're protecting criminals who go out and murder, rape, rob. They perpetuate violence on our children. They traffic them and drugs and damage this country every single day under the protection of sanctuary city and governors who put in place these policies that allow them to perpetuate these crimes with no consequences. What I would say is today, my hope is that this would wake up these individuals, and they would recognize that they can't keep letting these dangerous criminals go free. They can't continue to let these individuals be brought in for crimes they're committing against the public and then releasing them right back onto the streets with no consequences whatsoever.
And again, this individual that shot the Border Patrol agent, and the guy was just off duty, hanging out with a lady friend, it seems. This guy was already let out back on the streets. It's just insane how this continues to play out. Tom Homan at the same presser had some words to say.
I'll say it again, sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. And I'm going to work very hard with Secretary Noem to keep President Trump's promise and his commitment several weeks ago that sanctuary cities are now our priority. We're going to flood the zone. You don't want to let us into jail to arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a jail. You want to release him into the street, which makes it unsafe for the community, makes it unsafe for the officer, makes it unsafe for the alien. Anything can happen on a street arrest. So what we're going to do, we'll have more agents in New York City to look for that bad guy. So sanctuary cities get exactly what they don't want, more agents in the community and more agents in the work site. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of the county jail, then arrest him in the community, and we'll arrest him in the jail. And when we arrest him in the community, if he's with others that are in the country illegally, they're coming too. Sanctuary cities are sanctuaries for criminals. President Trump is not going to tolerate it. And I'll work every day with Secretary Noem to make sure we get as many bad guys, illegal aliens out of this country that we can.
I called her Kirsty. Her name's Christy. But yes, Mrs. Noem. Wonderful lady. The city and state's fiscal pain just got real. We're talking about New York here. They are in a tough place right now. They have a passage, or with the passage of Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill, which is cutting back on a lot of the crap money they used to get. Supposedly, New York's Kathy Hochul is directing state agencies to cut $750 million from their budget. Now, what's funny is when folks gripe, and she's going to point her finger at Trump, right? She's going to blame him about the reckless and how dishonest and all that. But she's still going to have to find another $3 billion, and that's assuming no further cuts from Washington in the short term and an economy remains robust. Plus, the long-term structural gap CBC says is now a monstrous $22 billion. New York's in a very, very tough place. And then when you look at Mamdani trying to come in and talk about the crazy stuff he's talking about, New York is at their fiscal reckoning moment where a lot of them are going to have to come to their come to Jesus moment, essentially, or whichever, whatever works for them. Come to ball moment, whatever side of the fence you're on. But you're obviously going to have to realize that they want to take more of your money and provide fewer things in return. And New York and all these blue states are just failing so miserably right now. Federal judge blocks Washington state law requiring clergy to report abuse learned in confession. This is illegal. So fortunately, there's some good judges still around, but they were going to, the Senate Bill 5375 makes members of the clergy, including ministers, priests, rabbis, and others, mandatory reporters of child abuse and neglect. Now, many would say, well, gee, why wouldn't you want to do that? That's, of course, a good thing to do, but you do not want to break the rule of what's already established, right? If you're going to, tell your sins, and that's where it's at. They shouldn't be able to tell on you, and it's just one start, and then what? It's just an issue of how illegal is illegal, right? So this is good. I'm glad that the judge stopped it. Texas legislature, you guys in Texas, there's like 17, of course, constitutional amendments that are coming up for November 4th ballots. You guys better get out and vote. You better look into these. There's a bunch of them. I'm not going to want to read through them all. A bunch of them are crazy. Y'all better get out and vote. Seriously, make sure you vote, because this sounds like they're going to jack you. You've got the Dems way, way, way in charge of a lot of these amendments. And if you guys let them pass without doing anything about it, y'all are going to be screwed, right? Going to be fewer tacos in your belly. That's what's going to happen. It's going to cost you a bunch of money. They want to raise taxes all over the place. In fact, there was something in there that was ridiculous where they talked about feed for animals being property. Something to the effect that the feed is considered like property. I was just blew my mind. I'm like, are you kidding me? That is just out of control. Is this the one? Personal property consisting of animal feed held by the owner of the property for sale at retail. So the constitutional amendment authorizing the legislature to exempt from ad valorem taxation tangible personal property consisting of animal feed held by the owner of the property for sale at retail. Amendment would prohibit animal feed from being subject to property tax. Property tax on animal feed. That just seems weird to me. What? Anyway, whatever. Texas, y'all, fuck, man, get out there and check it out. Illinois legislator slams $500,000 line item for closed college as banner of incompetence. I don't think it's this. I think they just dodged. I think they just found something. Illinois legislators, they were paying this since 2022. This Lincoln College has been shut down yet. Since 2022 and prior, I think 2018 is when it started, Lincoln College gets $500,000 a year. Now, supposedly there's no bond funding it. Don't know if checks have actually been written out, but this is still sitting on the budget, this thing that doesn't exist anymore. And they tried to downplay it, but the other people are like, this is embarrassing. We got stuff on our budget that shouldn't even be there. Like, how bad does that make us look as the creators of the budget? Which I would argue pretty bad. State Representative Joe Casello, public servant and former firefighter, has passed away at the age of 73 following a heart attack on Friday. He is a Democratic caucus member of the Florida House of Representatives. This is probably going to open up a seat. Again, I'm not trying to get ahead of things, but yeah, this is sad. The man passed away, and certainly the loss for his family is a bummer for sure. 73, still kind of young, obviously. So yeah, I wish bless his family for sure. Illegal migrant accused of decapitating Illinois woman was captured by ICE. Jose Luis Mendoza Gonzalez, 52, of Waukegan, Illinois, was arrested in April and charged with concealing a corpse, abusing a corpse, and obstruction of justice. Literally, this dude. This lady supposedly died of an overdose, and then he kept her in a thing with bleach. It's just disgusting. He's not legal, if that was maybe a question. ICE head says agency is going to crack down on American companies hiring unauthorized workers. This is a big part of why all of this is happening. Again, oddly, similar argument for the slave trade. Now, again, some people say it's all sorts of things. One of the things that I know was a concern was labor. Essentially, it paid for these individuals, is the way they saw it, and they're like, this is how we get our work done. You tell us we can't do this anymore, what the hell are we going to do? We're supposed to pay them, right? So that is the same concept of what's going on. You bring illegals in, they don't have to be paid legal wages. You can pay them sub-legal wages because you're not here legally. I'm just going to pretend that you have all your documentation, and you're going to take $4 an hour less than an American citizen. And if you want to make any money, you're going to do it. Now, in a lot of cases in agriculture, you sort of get paid by the bushel, not necessarily by the hour, at least. So hard work will benefit, but it is still a hard way to go. So, yeah, ICE says they're going to try to put a stop to this, which they should. It will, by the way, cause things to cost a bit more. This is going to happen. But this is also part of making things in America and supporting our own country and supporting ourselves with our own tax base and all that stuff. It's actually very important. As we do more of that, there's either going to be a deflationary action, or we're going to switch to this new currency. And there's a lot of things to talk about there. Scott Bessent is he's talking about doing an audit of the actual Fed. So there's a lot to take into account here. But I believe Trump is heading us in the right direction. I believe he's setting up the proper fundamentals for us. And so once we move through this, we should be ready to go. Should be. That's the hope. What is this? ICE, head agency cracking down. America, covered it. Just remind you guys, MyPillow. Love MyPillow. They're giving us a pretty sweet deal right now. I'm going to have Mike Lindell on Wednesday. Of course, want to remind you guys, MyPillowTrial.com. MyPillowTrial.com. That's where you can certainly donate and help Mike out. Another way you can help Mike out, by the way, is buying stuff from my site. He's actually taking a piece of all of these sale items, and this is going towards the fight as well. So if you go to mypillow.com/OTF, mypillow.com/OTF, the Giza sheets, any size, any color, $49.98. This is an insanely good deal. It will probably not happen again this year for sure. And I think we're getting it slightly extended because it's probably going to go for roughly a week, or till Sunday is what they like to do on the Wednesday stuff, right? They'll run it till Sunday. So take advantage of this. $49.98. The best sheets they got. High thread count, all the crazy colors. $49.98. You do not want to miss that. And remember, anything that's over $75 or more, you're getting $100 in free digital coupons. Which, by the way, I got to look at the thing. It's in the box. My girlfriend wasn't here. We didn't get the pillows in time, so I actually haven't looked. The box is sitting in my office. I just haven't looked. I don't ever go in there. So my slippers, another one, $39.98. This is an incredible deal. I don't think these are going to come any lower ever. Normally almost $150. You're saving $110. MyPillow.com/OTF. Dog beds, you've got the best towels ever. They've got the best pillows ever, by the way, starting at $19.98. Also the percale bed sheets. Maybe you got kids and stuff that, like wet their beds. You don't want to give them the nicest sheets that you can get at $49.98. Why don't you get the $29.88, any size, any color? And then that way you don't got to worry about it, and and keep the kids on the cheaper stuff, because they outgrow sheets. Kind of kidding. Outlet sales, they've always got really good stuff on the different sales stores, outlets, and the My Store. Also really, really good stuff. Same coupon code, OTF, or you can go to mystore.com/OTF. That does the same thing. And, of course, you've got My Cross. Beautiful cross, 50% off. Sterling silver. There's two different versions of it. There's white in the middle with kind of a black outer, and there's black in the middle with a silver outer. Very beautiful stuff. Go to mypillow.com/OTF. That's mypillow.com/OTF. And get the best night of sleep you've ever had. And you will, too. You're going to love it. All right, a whole bunch of stuff on the Democrats here. Whole bunch of crap, one might say. All right, multi-billion-dollar boondoggle. Biden administration plans for electric mail trucks has flopped massively. This is another one of these things that the money's probably going to be clawed back. Biden administration effort to electrify the U.S. Postal Service has produced just 250 electric mail trucks. 250 electric mail trucks in over 2 years. Way behind schedule, right? Nearly $10 billion project aimed to roll out 35,000 battery-powered USPS vehicles by September 2028, with $3 billion funded through President Biden's 2022 Inflationary Reduction Act. But despite the $1.7 billion already spent, we only have 250 trucks. Only the small portion of the fleet exists, prompting Republicans to push for canceling the remaining $1.3 billion in funding, clawing back some more money. Biden's multi-billion-dollar EV fleet for the USPS is lost in the mail, and more than $1 billion in postmark to the order. Essentially, the company themselves is even saying, we suck at making trucks, basically. They aren't very good. And so, I wonder who owns that company, how much of that they're keeping. Again, all this stuff's a boondoggle. Democrats continue to flounder as approval ratings sink to all-time lows. They're just failing all over the place, and they continue to make bad choices. There's Harvard Capps Harris poll that came out, found only 40% of respondents approve of the job Democrats are doing. Just, again, there's a number of polls. I don't like polls in general, but it's not looking good for them. AOC also pissed off her people. She voted pro-Israel. I'm surprised she did, considering she's part of the squad, and they're definitely anti-Israel, at least 3 of them. She voted pro. So her facilities in New York, her headquarters, got vandalized. That's how they do it, right? They'll turn on you in a heartbeat. I don't know how Ocasio-Cortez is going to handle this, but not good, that's for sure. Manchin says he couldn't stomach Democratic Party socialist trend. That's why he stepped away and became independent before retiring. But he's made a statement on Fox News when he was interviewed and just asked to comment on large crowds and prominent liberal Senator Bernie Sanders and AOC's nonsense. And he says, it's not the Democratic Party that I knew or that I was a part of for many, many years. This socialist trend that's going on is something that I couldn't stomach anymore, and it's why I left. And if the National Democratic Party doesn't get back to more of a center or center-left, there won't be a party they're going to recognize at all. I think that's very true. Donald Trump truth this out. Adam Shifty Schiff is in big trouble. He falsified loan documents. He once said, my son would go to prison on a scam that Schiff, along with other crooked Dems, illegally manufactured in order to stage an actual coup. My son did nothing wrong, knew nothing about the fictional story. It was an American tragedy. Now, Shifty should pay the price of prison for a real crime, not one made up by the corrupt accusers. And Trump shared this. Adam Schiff is a thief. He should be prosecuted just like they tried to prosecute me and everyone else. The only difference is we were totally innocent. It was all a giant hoax. Here is the affidavit made pursuant to Section 12-108G3 of the Tax Property Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland. The undersigned makes this oath in due form law under penalties of perjury. Thanks to the following is true, yada yada, that the original mortgager. And then the second one here, the most important, that the mortgaged property is our principal residence. Of the three things, the second one is that this is your primary residence. Adam B. Schiff has signed. Eve M. Schiff has signed. Really? Adam and Eve? Hang on, that just dawned on me. Have you guys heard that brought up yet? How weird is that? Literally, Adam married Eve. That's weird. That's really weird. I never heard that before. I don't know if you guys have. Sorry. Yeah, it just tripped me out. Just tripped me out right there. Adam married Eve. How strange is that? Now, I want to play this one because it sets up right before Trump became president. In fact, the day before January 6th, January 5th of 2017. Actually, the wrong January 6th, I should say. But what I want to point out, which I think is interesting, is this is, I think, one of the last times. Well, I don't know. 2018 is when I heard that the original Joe Biden was no longer. And so how much of that was tied to the treason that he was directly involved with? And then the question would be if that did play any part. It could have. It would make sense that it did. Don't know, right? Totally speculating here. But if it did, then the big question is why is Barack Obama still walking around? And I've heard that talked about how he was actually a little more of not really in charge per se, but as being told and was like brought up as a Manchurian candidate essentially from a very young age. So many are suggesting or thinking that Barack is likely going to flip on whoever was pulling his strings. Joe Biden had nothing. He was just a criminal, and I don't think there was any information that he had that was worth keeping him around. We'll see. But here is a couple minutes of the original Joe Biden. And it's funny how much he looks like a cross between the two. I mean, I've heard stories now that there's some missing brother that actually became the new Biden. And it's funny is that they definitely look similar. And it is weird how they all, like I forget the brother's name, but he kind of, you can see the mixture of their face. They just, I don't know, whatever the case is. You guys tell me what you think.
Come back to foreign policy. Have you seen now the report by the intelligence community on Russian hacking?
Yes, I have.
The Democrats during the...
Yes, I've read it.
And?
There is overwhelming consensus in the community and overwhelming evidence supplied by the community that Russia did engage in an effort to impact on the elections.
Will the American people learn something new from this?
I think it will probably confirm what a lot of the American people think, but it will state clearly that the Russians did, as a matter of policy, attempt to affect and three things. One, it attempted to discredit the U.S. electoral process. Two, there's evidence that there was an attempt to hurt Mrs. Clinton. But there's also evidence that there was wider hacking than some people thought. So the idea that the Russians were not involved in an effort to engage in our electoral process is simply not able to be sustained. They were.
Excuse me, in connection with that, the criticism by the president-elect of the intelligence community in this country, belittling of the intelligence community, do you think that's just politics, or do you think it's dangerous?
I think it's dangerous. For a president not to have confidence in, not to be prepared to listen to the myriad of intelligence agencies from defense intelligence to the CIA, et cetera, is absolutely mindless. It's just mindless. But the idea that that you know more than the intelligence community knows. It's a little like saying, I know more about physics than my professor. I didn't read the book. I just know I know more. I mean, it's worrisome.
Now, what's funny is Trump actually is very well read, especially when it comes to business. Wharton Business School. He's one of the top business schools in the country. It's private. Hardly anyone gets to go there. Some of the finest professors anywhere. So that's what Trump knows. Now, again, this is, well, all a lie. Every bit of this was a lie. He was in on the lying, and this was the push to get it in the media. Again, it was PBS. I don't know if you're paying attention to that as well. Now, Dan Bongino posted this. First off, I'm just happy he posted something. I feel like he's been dark for a little while. Second, nobody knows what the fuck it means. Joe, comma, rest peacefully with the Lord. But what other Joes are we talking about? Is there some other Joe? Was that the guy that died earlier? Like, I don't know. I don't know. You guys, I'm curious. If you guys hit me up, which Joes you think it is. Hopefully not. Hey Joe, where are you going with that gun in your hand? Because that would be mad. You know, that would end that song. Yeah. Trump been truthing some interesting stuff. We've got a conspiracy that's happening. This conspiracy is opening up. There's a lot of people that thought they were going to skate by because of statute of limitations. The fact that this is going as a conspiracy destroys that. Because now you can demonstrate all the different crimes. Even if they're outside of statutes, you can demonstrate the facts and evidence you have, how many different crimes were committed. Although we can't bust you for the crime, we can put it in with the conspiracy, and we can bust you for the conspiracy, which is treason. And we're allowed to bring up shit all the way back to when you were born, mofo. The bad guys are definitely getting worried.
This is not a conspiracy theory. This is not speculation. This is documented fact. For years, they told us Trump was the threat to democracy, but the real threat was the attempt to remove him. On December 9, 2016, inside the Obama White House, a classified meeting took place. Present were CIA Director John Brennan, DNI James Clapper, FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and several senior officials. Barack Obama was there, and what they discussed would become the most coordinated political deception in U.S. history. Just days earlier, an internal intelligence community report concluded Russia had not altered the outcome of the 26 election. On December 7, DNI Clapper reaffirmed it. Quote, foreign adversaries did not use cyber attacks on critical infrastructure to alter the U.S. presidential election outcome. End quote. But that wasn't the story the Obama administration wanted. So after that White House meeting, Clapper's executive assistant sent out an email. The order: prepare a new intelligence assessment, one that aligned with the president's request. That's right, intelligence was politicized at the highest levels under the direction of a sitting president to frame the incoming one. They buried prior reports. They inflated the Steele dossier. They reversed conclusions, and they launched the January 6, 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment, used to trigger investigations, media hysteria, FISA warrants, and ultimately impeachment. It was a soft coup. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has now declassified the emails, memos, and reports. In her words, this was a treasonous conspiracy orchestrated by Barack Obama and carried out by key members of his administration. General Flynn calls it the greatest crime in American history. Others are demanding arrests, indictments, and immediate action from the DOJ, because if this stands, our constitutional republic falls. We now have names. We have documents. We have sworn testimony. No more theories, only accountability. My friends, we are all anonymous, and we speak for the silenced, and we are awake, and we are everywhere, and we will not stop until the truth is reckoned with.
Amen to that. So again, this got posted by Trump by Trump as well. How did Samantha Power make all that money? They got Samantha Power, Susan Rice, Valerie Jarrett, James Clapper, James Comey, John Brennan, Barack Hussein Obama, and Ben Hamas Rhodes. Good old Ben Rhodes in there. Not going to be good for these guys. In fact, we've got this now too. The FBI failed to comprehensively analyze crucial thumb drives containing cyber intrusion data from the State Department during its investigation of Hillary Clinton's private email server, according to a newly declassified Justice Department Inspector General report. This is in the report. This factually happened. A confidential source provided the drives with data including emails from former President Barack Hussein Obama, despite an internal draft memo stressing the need to assess the national security risks of Clinton's server. The Bureau skipped full analysis over privileged concerns about the victim's data. Again, they don't look at their own people, only everyone else. Just Human posted this statement from Attorney General Pamela Bondi on Senate Judiciary Committee request for information related to Clinton email investigation. This was posted on today, the 21st. Today, the Department of Justice honored Chairman Grassley's request to release information relating to the former FBI Director James Comey's failed investigation into Hillary Clinton's mishandling of highly classified information during her tenure as Secretary of State. I commend Chairman Grassley for his unwavering, years-long commitment to exposing the truth and holding those who seek to conceal it accountable. This Department of Justice is fully committed to transparency and will continue to support good faith efforts in Congress to ensure accountability across the federal government. Now, when she says, I commend Chairman Grassley for his unwavering, years-long commitment, she's not joking. In fact, Just Human posted this follow-up, which was very helpful. Said all the different stuff that he tried to get. So the request, not sure what the exact one was, but the first one started back in 2017, then 2019, then 2020. Again, numerous requests were made. Thank God Senator Grassley's still there, still making it, right? So we'll find out what continues to happen. Here's Senator Kennedy tripping out on the $93 billion that the Biden administration totally just played out to all their friends, to businesses that had no business plans. Again, just absolutely insane giveaway of money. Now, again, this was payouts. This is exactly what this was. $93 billion in payouts to people that he owed, I guess.
It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days, and it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President Biden, their boss, was leaving. Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful. Confidence undermining.
So you're telling me that the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct.
God.
Yeah, no freaking way is what it should be. Former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg failed to replace outdated air traffic control systems while in office, with his agency instead shelling out tens of billions of dollars on DEI agenda, according to federal spending records and airline industry insiders. In one meeting, Buttigieg, who was said to be eyeing a 2028 presidential run, told industry executives that air traffic control upgrades would just allow them to fly more planes. And so why would that be in his interests? Sources said. Again, can we trust the sources? Who knows? But he would definitely be interested in doing something like that. Again, all the things that were done incorrectly. World Economic Forum rigged data to make Brexit look like a failure. Initially, England's economy was looking rather well, looking good after Brexit. In fact, improved. But Schwabi here couldn't let that happen. and said there's no way, because then all these people in the Brexit community will be rewarded for their efforts and how they did something that was really smart, considering the European Union at this point in time, we're 100% sure, is a train wreck. One happening anyways, and fun as hell to watch. Judge rules Trump administration broke the law and the takedown of public funding tracker. This is strange. Whatever the case is, Trump's administration is basically saying there is what he considers to be national secrets within this data that the Office of Management and Budget, that there was information that was in their budgetary stuff that was giving the enemy likely knowledge, probably into how much we were spending in certain programs. Said that violated national security, so they took down the information. This judge essentially saying you must put it back up. But Judge Emmett Sullivan is giving Trump, I think, until Thursday this week to present their rebuttal, if you will. And if it is national security, there's not a damn thing in the world this stupid U.S. district judge can do about it. Now, maybe they want to talk more about it. We'll see. But, again, is he cleared for that matter? Who knows? Donald Trump tripped this out. The Harvard case was just tried in Massachusetts before an Obama-appointed judge. She is a total disaster, which I say even before hearing her ruling. She has systematically taken over the various Harvard cases and is an automatic loss for the people of our country. Harvard has $52 billion sitting in the bank, and yet they are anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and anti-America. Much of this money comes from the USA, all to the detriment of other schools, colleges, and institutions, and we are not going to allow this unfair situation to happen any longer. How did this Trump-hating judge get these cases? When she rules against us, we will immediately appeal and win. Also, the government has stopped the practice of giving many billions of dollars to Harvard, much of which had been given without explanation. It is a long-time commitment to fairness in funding education, and the Trump administration will not stop until there is a victory. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Thank you for pointing my head at it. Republicans fear Washington headed for shutdown after bruising spending fights. The skinny of this article, and I don't honestly know how much is true, not true, just who knows. I mean, Russell Vought is saying it, and he's, someone we pretty much trust. And basically saying, look, we want to do some more spending cuts right now, but the Congress is kind of like, especially the Senate, we're like, we don't think we could pass anything right now. They've used up every little bit of chattel they got, every little bit of favors they can offer up. They used them all. And so apparently the Democrats specifically are very pissed off, and they are not going to help in any way, shape, or form. And they need 60 people to pass a lot of the stuff that they're talking about trying to pass. And Schumer and others are essentially saying that ain't going to happen. So they think they're actually going to let us have a government shutdown, which, by the way, I don't understand. Maybe it'll make more sense to me, I'm sure, in time, so I apologize for not knowing more about it, but we just raised the debt level. We just passed a bill, a budget. What are we missing on that's coming up? Whatever the case is, if they shut down the government, fine. I'm okay with it. If it's the Democrats' fault, whoever shuts the government down gets blamed. It'll affect them in the midterms. So it would make sense, the way this movie's playing out, that the Democrats would make a catastrophic failure in September-ish. I think that's when they're saying this is going to happen. There's a lot of people that have been speculating that the shit is going to hit the fan September, October, November timeframes. This would play into that as well. Again, don't know. Trying to offer as much substance to this weird-ass story as I can. We'll find out. That's for sure. We're going to be there before we know it. July is damn near over, and then we only got one more month, and then football starts. Of course, it's September. Besant disses leakers after the Wall Street Journal reports on Powell advice. So essentially, and I'm going to play this thing that Trump's doing here because it's actually pretty good, talking about how he went to the Wharton Business School. But Besant basically said this Wall Street Journal story that came out, that Trump came to Besant to have him explain something to him. And Bessent's like, this is absolutely insanity. Trump doesn't do that, first off. Trump gets information from a number of people, then Trump makes the decision. It's Trump's decision. That's what Bessent says. Now, what's powerful is this here, because this kind of, I think, goes with it well. And this was a week ago or whatever. I vaguely remember this. I forget what the leader's name that was there, but it was good stuff. Anyway, check out what Trump has to say that has nothing to do with the leader that's actually there. Has everything to do with the Fed and our potential soon-to-come audit or looking into. But it also gets into what Trump really understands very well. Business, finance, tariffs, everybody said was going to destroy everything. They've been completely wrong. And like he says, him and one other person knew what's up. And I think that's maybe that Witkoff guy or Bessent, one of the two. But anyway.
It's not a tough job, to be honest. Assuming you're smart, it's not a tough job. If you're a dummy, then I guess it's a tough job. But it might be one of the easiest jobs I've ever seen. And now on top of it, he's building a close to $3 billion little nest egg for himself. He's not doing the right job. We should be saving $1 trillion a year in interest. You know, when he talks about cost, we should be saving. Think of it, $1 trillion a year. Add that with the tariffs and everything else. But he just doesn't want. He's a knucklehead. But we'll see how that. We'll see how he's listening to this. Yeah, that's a strange conversation. But we like to say it like it is. But we have a lot of people that want that job very badly. And I'm only interested in low-interest people, frankly, because you don't need. I know. So they had the 71 different economists and people experts that they picked about a month ago. I was the only one, along with one person from maybe the Wharton School of Finance. The two of us got it right. 69 people, including Powell, got it wrong. And he wants to hire thousands of new people to help him decide where we're going in the future. It only takes one good mind. It doesn't take 5,000 good minds. So they're expanding the Fed. It's the dumbest thing I've heard of. But, it's very autonomous.
Just to follow up on that, sir, are you completely ruling out the idea of firing Jerome Powell?
I don't rule out anything, but I think it's highly unlikely unless he has to leave for fraud. I mean, it's possible there's fraud involved with the $2.7 billion renovation. This is a renovation. How do you spend $2.7 billion? And he didn't have proper clearance, et cetera, et cetera. So that's going on. So, there could be something to that, but I think he's not doing a good job. He's got a very easy job to do. You know what he has to do? Lower interest rates.
Have you drafted a letter to send to Jay Powell if you decide that you are going to fire him? Have you drafted a letter?
No, I haven't drafted a letter.
So you didn't show a letter to Republican lawmakers last night?
No, I talked about the concept of fire him. I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should. But I'm more conservative than they are.
And it's not necessarily legal. And again, he loves to go there because it gets people talking about stuff. Yeah, even if they're saying, oh, you can't do that, I can't do that, they're talking about the firing of the Fed chairman or the fact that the Fed chairman's doing a poor job because they're going to play some of the cuts that Trump says, or they're going to hear about it from people like us. Trump truthed this out. The Wall Street Journal ran a typically untruthful story today by saying that Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, explained to me that firing Jerome Too Late Powell, the worst Federal Reserve chairman in history, would be bad for the market. Nobody had to explain that to me. I know better than anybody what's good for the market and what's good for the USA. If it weren't for me, the market wouldn't be at record highs right now. It probably would have crashed. So get your information correct. People don't explain to me. I explain to them. Damn. And it's true. Treasury Secretary Bessent on Monday suggested a review of the Federal Reserve that would go beyond the current controversy over building renovations and look at its overall function. What we need to do is examine the entire Federal Reserve institution and whether they have been successful, Bessent said during an interview on CNBC's Squawk Box. Has the organization succeeded in its mission? If this were the Federal Aviation Administration and we were having this many mistakes, we would go back and look at why has this happened. The comments come amid an intensifying conflict between the White House and the central bank. Scott Bessent might very well end up being the guy that goes in there, might probably be to his, I mean, he likes his job. He thinks he's got the best job ever. But honestly, we trust him. We trust Bessent. He polls very well. And because of that, well, he might have to take that job. Whatever the case is, things are going to change. The market's probably going to try to freak out around the Powell decision to make it look like this is horrible, but it's going to rebound after. So again, we're riding out this crazy wave. Now, crypto, I don't know how it's going to react, because it's when they get scared and they pull their money from crypto, that's when the crypto crash happens. I don't know when that's going to be. That could be closer to the September timeline. I don't know. But this is, I mean, again, what's-his-face Powell's not even supposed to be done till, like April of next year or something like that. So we've still got lots of time from that standpoint. They were supposed to start thinking about who they were going to choose, but it seems there's a bit more of an aggressive push. This is actually pretty good. Tapper had a really good interview with a Republican, Tim Burchett, and, well, I mean, other than the fact that prepare yourself, if you got the kids in the car, I think he says daggum like 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times he says daggum. So, again, I mean, I don't use language like that. That's, damn, dude, you know? Wow. Wow. That is so strong. So strong. Kidding. This is pretty good, though. Check this out.
He asked the federal judge to release grand jury testimony from the Epstein case. But as you know, that's only a fraction of the so-called Epstein Files and evidence amassed as a result of the investigation. You've co-sponsored legislation with your colleague Thomas Massie to release all of the Epstein Files. So I can't imagine you're content with this small, discrete grand jury information being released. That's not enough, right?
I think it's a start, Jake, and thank you for your fair reporting on this up to this point. I think Senator Klobuchar, as she likes to say, as a former prosecutor, where the heck was she the last 4 years? Dick Durbin, and you're correct, he did effectively try to and did block my Senator Blackburn from getting those files released. And it's clear what the Democrats are up to. They're tanking. The country knows it. Their biggest candidate in the whole country, Jake, is a guy, people in New York, a guy people are accusing of a communist. And what's he say? Oh, hey, I'm not a communist. I'm a socialist. As if that's a selling point. That's what the Democrat Party has fallen into. Where the heck have they been the last 4 years? I'm ticked off at everybody. Look, this thing should have been handled. Now we're at the point they're going to start dumping files. And my biggest fear in this, Jake, you got 1,000 children that were abused by this dirtbag who's burning in hell right now, and he should be. And yet the American public's all pointing the finger, trying to play politics with this thing, and it's not accurate. I applaud the president for wanting to release those files. I think it's a good start. I think we, they keep saying he talked about it repeatedly, and that's just not accurate. He was asked 2 different times during the campaign about it, and he said, sure, we're going to release them. He also said he's going to release the UFO files and the Kennedy files, and we're still working on all that because it is a dadgum process. You've got innocent people on those flight logs that flew. President Trump has admitted he flew on those flights, and dozens of other Americans, I'm sure, rode. I know a lot of wealthy people, Jake, and they fly on these dadgum planes, private planes. If one's broke down, they say, hey, I got a seat on this guy's plane. Can you want to ride with us to New York? And that's what happens. And so I caution America, though, if we need to have some sort of way to filter out the innocence in these things. Yeah. And for Dick Durbin to start making his point now, I think that you all in the media should bust his tail for that, because that is very disingenuous, and that is clearly a cover-up by the Democrat Party.
Yeah, no, without question, Senator Blackburn has been trying to get the flight logs subpoenaed and other information about the Epstein files for years. But as you note, there are people in these files who are innocent, who didn't do anything except flew on Epstein's plane, for example, in the 90s. Epstein was first, I think, arrested in 2005, 2006, so he wasn't scandalous until then. So it certainly can be understood if people, whether RFK Jr. or Bill Clinton or whoever, associated themselves with him before then. But there are also individuals in these files who weren't prosecuted but probably did commit some criminal acts. Let me just ask you about this effort to get these files released. As of right now, there are 10 Republicans, including yourself, who've signed Congressman Massey's what's called the discharge petition. It forces legislation onto the floor of the House for a vote. It requires 218 signatures. Presumably, a lot of Democrats are going to support it, too. A lot of Republican leaders seem to want this issue to go away. Do you think you're going to get 218 signatures on the discharge petition to force it for a vote? And how many Republicans do you think will join you?
I have no earthly idea, Jake. You know this town buries secrets. You wrote a book about it, and it's doing very well because America agrees with you. This town buries secrets. I mean, do you honestly believe Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy from the front and the back, and this miraculous lead bullet that had hardly a scrape on it was found on a gurney in a hospital shortly after the president passed away? You know, this town does not give up its secrets easy, and it's fighting and kicking. And the reason I'm worried about these files now is the fact that the Biden administration, who in my opinion has a history of corruption, has tampered with these files, and we're never going to get to the bottom of it. I think stuff could have been placed in those files. Do I have proof? Well, no, I don't, but I have a gut feeling and I have a historical reference, which is every dadgum time something like this happens in this town, it gets covered up, and it needs to stop. And I salute President Trump for pushing to move forward on those records that they have. But I do want them to be. I would like them to be filtered a little bit. I don't want the 1,000 innocents and some of those people that flew, as you mentioned earlier.
Right, but you do want more than just the grand jury testimony that he has called for. You would like more in a responsible way, but as many files as possible that can be released.
Yes, sir.
All right. Congressman Tim.
Yes, sir. And the president's, yes, sir. I agree. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
No, go ahead. You're going to make a point. I'm sorry.
Now, I was going to say the president takes a lot of heat for what he said earlier, but you know, Trump has an incredible strategy. They said, "Oh, the big beautiful bill won't pass by July 4th." What happened? Trump worked it. It came out by July 4th. Senator Haggerty's bill on cryptocurrency, they said they wanted it to the president's desk by Friday. There was no way it was going to happen. I'm sitting in a meeting with the speaker and Whip Emmert and about 10 or 12 fellow conservatives that had problems. Trump calls, answers every one of our dadgum questions, and guess what? He signed that bill on Friday. And that, you know, he has an incredible gift at strategy and winning, and that's what he does.
Congressman Tim Burchett, thanks so much, sir. Good to see you again. Next.
Well, dadgum, right? Dadgum. Great better back, my performance down, not take TCP in. I say slide, so to say I want to see. Pray to Jay, get the same old. Knock yourself a pro, slick. Anyway, sorry. Every once in a while I break into my original language that it was brought up on. But at this point, we're going to step away from that. Judge presiding over Trump's Wall Street Journal lawsuit is seen this movie before. Yeah, this guy already had an issue with Trump, of course, back in 2014, a Barack Obama appointee. Apparently he's gay. I think that was brought up that somehow is germane. Maybe it is. Trump sued Cohen. You guys remember the Michael Cohen, the big old piece of trash, for $500 million. But, yeah, this attorney, Gales, Darren Gales. I mean, that does sound like a gay name. I'll be honest. I mean, it's not that the name makes you gay, but sometimes your mom knows right up front. She's like, no, this is a gay child. I could tell when it came out of me, like swam out of me. It like danced out of me, right? Like he just knew that little boy was not gonna, play football. That's all I'm saying. Noted attorney Alan Dershowitz said Sunday that he could be called as a witness in President Trump's suit against the Wall Street Journal, arguing that he feels he could help prove malice in the case. He is a very helpful lawyer to Trump. When Trump was being impeached, Dershowitz, Democrat, was helping Trump. Think about that. And doing an admirable job, it seems. So we'll see if he does that. It's, I think, a fun little veiled threat, if you will. Maybe it's not so veiled. U.S. District Judge Paul Engelmayer has been tapped to oversee one of President Trump's requests to unseal Jeffrey Epstein's grand jury records. This is the same judge who earlier this year slapped down the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency by blocking its access to the Treasury. A decision that drew sharp rebuke. Let's call it rebuke. So anyways, we'll see. I don't think the Epstein Files are going to come out. I think it is truly a distraction. I think there's maybe some stuff in there, but in all honesty, I think most of the good shit that we all want is tied up in investigations. At least I hope it is. So, I mean, whatever. Like, however you fall onto this, because there's a lot of people that are just very black and white. It's like, they've got to come out. He said they would. Like, twice, maybe. And it wasn't like a thing he campaigned on. Everyone's trying to make it sound like that, too. Go dig up how many times it's actually been said. Right now, I'm hearing 2. It feels like somebody that actually kind of looked into it, because it was sort of an official figure. I was like, that might be true. Whatever. That's what I'm going with at the moment. Pet Club 247, guys. If you got a pet, there's this mushroom that's called Coriolus versicolor. Coriolus versicolor actually helps your immune system. And so this is a way to get this in your dogs, your cats, your horses. I have a lady that's she had some mush ponies, and I guess her horses kind of didn't start liking them after a while. I don't know if this, there's one example. I've heard someone say this about the dogs too. So I don't know, these mush puppies might get boring at times. Maybe they're not exciting enough. I don't know. Maybe they don't have all the chemicals in it that the dog typically craves, right? And there might be a bit of that process where they're like, it's not as exciting. Whatever the case is, she started giving them to her sheep because I had mentioned it the other day. And sheep and goat, they'll eat anything. So at least you know it's helping, right? And this one does have some issues. She seems to rescue animals. Is kind of what I'm getting just from the little bit of email we've had. So again, there's really good products that have that mushroom in it. Again, sometimes the animals may want different ways to promote it. Like I've heard some say that the special sauce wasn't necessarily winning over, but you know how animals are, especially if they're sick. So depending how far down the path they are. But if you got dogs, one of the easy ways is the mush puppies. You want to switch it up, get the Mojos. Mojos are liver treats, right? So you can get mush puppies and Mojos and kind of switch them up. And that way you're guaranteeing that they're getting that mushroom in them and not necessarily getting bored on the same general flavor and texture, right? And maybe that has something to do with it. They've got freeze-dried food. So a 1 pound bag of food or box of food turns into 5 pounds when you add the moisture. That's actually really cool. So just a little bit of food and puffs up, and there you go. There you go. And it's healthy. It's Sequoia chicken. There's no chemicals in it, all that good stuff. They've got the special sauces that you can put on top or mix in, make a gravy, whatever. They got it all going on. Antler sticks is another big one with dogs. They like sticks, right? Seriously, they like sticks. Wood's cool, but not quite as good as antler. Antler's got the minerals. When they grind on it, right? That grinds down their teeth. Good, because it's hard. It's bone. And then it's mineral. That mineral goes in their body. They're eating mineral. That is so good for their bones, their joints, all that stuff. So again, there's some very cool ways that you can be wonderful to your dogs. Your cats. Cats have the Mojos. They don't eat mush puppies, so at least I haven't had anyone tell me that their cat's tired of the mush puppy. They've got the cans of food for them. Again, healthier stuff. That's what's going on with all of this. And they've got the Nipster play toy. So the rope is made here in America. It doesn't have chemicals in it, which a lot of stuff from China does. Look at the gradients. If not, they could have lead in that rubber ball that you love, the thing that makes the stupid noise that your dog loves. Probably got lead in it. Just saying. Sometimes you got to get smart about these things. And oops, that would be an unsmart thing that I just did. Horses, mush ponies. Again, I don't know. 4 out of 5 dentists recommend eating mush ponies before chewing Trident. And then there's a whole human section, by the way. There's the dude, Baby Trump, that's running around talking to everybody on the channels about how he took mass quantities of this to make a tumor go away in his neck. He came on my show way back when. You can look up Baby Trump. I think you'll find the show. It was, I don't know, years ago. Again, this is a way to get this mushroom inside of you. This is good for every animal that seems to eat it. There's no too much that you can get. There's probably too many gummies that you could eat, but there's pills where you can just get it in that way. Again, In Focus is very good. It's just, you take, they say 1 pill for every 50 pounds of weight. That would be the normal dosage. If you are worried, you might want to double, triple that just if you want to, try to enhance your abilities. Maybe you're also doing this thing, which we've talked a lot about, the Parasite Cleanse, which I am... Things like 25% right now. I was looked at it this morning and I'm like, dude, it is so shrinking. It's awesome. Dude, and that's not tied to this, by the way. Sometimes I try to isolate stuff just so I can see what I'm doing to myself. It's like changing code. You don't want to change it in too many places. Well, you really only want to change it in one and see if that fixes it. But sometimes that's not, come on. I'm not only going to fix one thing. They've got cookies too, by the way. So anyway, go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Petclub247. You're always taking care of them pets. And you're giving them that Coriolis versicolor. You're helping their immune system keep them in better places. There's actually a lot of studies. There's a lot of other people that have bought this that have talked about how great it is. So again, there's a lot. When you go to the original danradiostyle.petclub, let me see if I can find it. Just so I can get back. There it is. All right. When we start here, there's research, there's I think a help centers maybe where they've got some of the people talking about it. So again, there's a lot of really, really cool stuff to check out. Go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. Healthy choices for your animals. That's always good. So U.S. government worker, target of an exit ban. This is 2 different people. It's very interesting. I don't know what's going on with this. This is all sorts of strange. Now, these are... I don't know. China's either doing something very weird right now, trying to hold people hostage, or we're doing some weird stuff, or businesses are doing some weird stuff. And this is part of the deep state being destroyed in China. Like U.S. people that are deep state that are working at, or going to China on a regular. This is what's up here anyway. We got an American citizen who works for the U.S. government, has been blocked from leaving China for months, possibly on national security grounds after traveling there recently, the South China Morning Post has learned. So the exact reason we don't know. I'm trying to find the individual's name. He served in the U.S. Army, works for the U.S. Commerce Department, Patent and Trademark Office. Interesting. Like they want access. He was on a personal trip to his relatives, so that's pretty concerning, right? Department's Patent and Trademark Office. What's going on, China? China's also claiming Wells Fargo bankers being blocked from leaving the country in a criminal case. This chick here. She's got that Chinese look about her. She, Shenyu Mao. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Mao, I'm pretty sure I'm getting right. But, yeah, she's not being allowed to come back home. This hand gesture, by the way, is a symbol sign to what's going on. Probably deep state oriented. That definitely, she's not saying, the pee-pee goes inside of the... No, she's not doing that. So I don't know what it means, but that is something. That's not an accident. That's not just I'm just awkward right now because I'm getting my photo taken at the jail or wherever this is. Something else entirely. Effective immediately, shipping line suspended EV cargo due to lithium battery fire concerns. This is got a lot of thoughts around it in my mind. So Matson is a big company, huge company that transports stuff across the oceans. They are no longer going to be transporting EVs, electric vehicles. So that means none from Europe, none from China, for sure, none from Japan either. The only lithium-ion cars can be made here. That's one thing that's interesting. Two, might set a precedence amongst others because these are extremely dangerous. There's been a number of fires, and the reason Matson's doing this is they literally had one of their ships catch fire, and it sank with all the equipment. And that's expensive from a insurance standpoint, right? So they had that problem going down with it. So yeah, they are not doing this anymore. This is going to affect things, maybe not quickly, but keep that in the back of the old mind. These are changes that are happening that they say is one thing, and generally there's more to it. Trump is pledging to prevent U.S. central bank digital currency. He's literally saying there will never be. He says, I also remain fully committed to my pledge never to allow the creation of a central bank digital currency in America. Now, just for everybody to understand, like chemtrails and contrails almost, right? Central bank digital currency is a Fed digital currency, is a deep state controlled digital currency, not necessarily a digital currency that's tethered possibly to our dollar or whatever. I'm not saying it is, I'm not saying it isn't, but I am saying there's a big difference between the two. Central bank is like a Fed central bank digital currency. That ain't going to happen. And there's a lot of people that thought it would. And, I think a lot of people are even like, an XRP is going to be the back end of that. Hopefully that's not true because that just got shot in the foot just badly. But the Genius Act is part of this too. They're setting some standards and regulating to a degree, especially how stablecoin works, because that's been lied to in the past. There's been people that, we're tethered to gold or tethered to dollar, but they weren't actually. Like you need to have an equal number of holdings essentially, right? So if everybody buys, if you got 100 of these coins that are tethered to 100 of those dollars, and you need to have 100 of those dollars in case something happens to those coins. You kind of have to have some sort of assets, if you will. So, I don't know how that works at all. But crypto's a funny thing. That's all I can say. The August 1st deadline is coming up. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, especially 3 minutes. It wasn't that good a story, but it is. They're freaking out. There's a lot of people, countries that are like, oh no, this is going to be a problem for us. One example of kind of what Trump's doing with us a little is what Putin did already with Russia a while ago. And his whole thing is like all the cars. They don't import any cars from anywhere. They make Russian cars. You have a car in Russia, you're driving a Russian car. It was made in Russia, it was manufactured in Russia, it was made by Russians, right? maybe from other places, but ultimately Russians. That is how it works. And the reason they do that is because, well, it allows their auto industry to actually survive. So some of our stuff needs to learn how to survive. Some of our stuff needs to have competition. Some of our stuff is just going to dominate the planet and needs to be allowed into other places. Again, this is not a simple process by any stretch of the imagination, but it's one of the ways that Putin has actually insulated Russia, rather than allowing us, the deep state, the United States, to be like, with our power of the dollar, be like, fuck you, Russia, we want to do whatever we want to do. Dadgummit. So, again, interesting. All right, let's see where the stocks are at the second. I think it's almost closed. Getting there anyways. If it's not already, it doesn't seem to be moving. But, yeah, so Dow was down a teeny. Everything's been reasonably flat. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Now, it does get a little spiky. See how it's doing a big arch? Dow was doing that too. Arch, right? Goes really high during the day. Oh, this one stayed pretty flat. NASDAQ, it's up a little. But, again, gold up. It was up pretty significant. Yeah, it just kept going. So that implies that something's going on with the dollar right now, weakening of the dollar. Let's see what as far as silver is. Yeah, silver went up today too, sitting at almost 39. That's, again, I've been talking about gold at 34, so it got past that 33.50 mark. We'll see if it stays up there. But when it breaks loose, that's when you get worried. And that has more to do with the dollar losing buying power or value or whichever, both. That's why I always say, this is how you protect your wealth. DRSlikesgold.com. Yeah, that's just how you protect your wealth. Get out of that 401k, that IRA that's tied to this stupid stuff and the dollar, right? And the dollar, and get it into precious metals. That holds the value, the buying power. It's just a powerful thing. It helps if you're still in there. If not, meh. DRSlikesgold.com. RFK Jr. fires the 2 top aides at HHS in staff shakeup. Now, we sort of talked about this, but it now makes more sense, and I like how these things play out. So the staff shakeup, the 2 people that would have been involved in this, but here's the important part. Who knew, what, and when, and were there larger strategic and tactical considerations? I have limited visibility into these questions. The unfortunate facts are that this decision about FDA CBER spike vax authorization for children aged 6 months through 11 years who are at increased risk for severe COVID-19 disease was made public by Moderna when both the Secretary of HHS, JFK Jr., and his trusted Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephanie Spears, were on vacation. And Moderna certainly made hay while the sun was shining on them. Neither Sec HHS nor his Deputy Chief of Staff, DCOS, were briefed or read in on this decision. Did the FDA Commissioner know? Did ex-HHS Chief of Staff Heather Flick know? Did POTUS or his COS know? I do not know the answer to these questions, but I do know is that shortly after the HHS Secretary and his DCOS returned from vacation, a major reorganization of HHS leadership occurred, a.k.a. somebody got fired. 2 peoples, for that matter. They did some sneaky shit behind his back to approve something with the FDA because money transferred hands. An example to anybody and everybody. And it was done in their absence. I'd be curious if that's borderline criminal. Sarepta refuses FDA request to halt levities after 3 deaths. 3 people have died, all muscular dystrophy. These guys weren't able to walk, so now they're trying to walk back their thing, saying that we'll only use this with people that I think are capable of still moving. So a slightly different group. They all died from liver failure, acute liver failure, which is, I think, a pretty severe form of it, just total shutdown. I don't know. It's just part of the fight we're having, guys, right? We just bring information forward. It's all we can do. Ship carrying hundreds of cars catches fire in Indonesia as frightened passengers jump into the ocean to escape the deadly fire. Look at this. It's craziness. Look at that. Look at that nonsense. Yeah, unfortunately, some people lost their lives. Pregnant lady and another individual, I believe. 2 others, I'm sorry, were killed. So 4 total, basically, the baby inside. So very sad. It's out in Barcelona area. Yeah, these people, they were close to an island, it looks like, which not that close, but at least some people could come and help. But yeah, that's pretty not good. Pretty not good. Japan's got a weird thing going on. They're getting a little more conservative. The less conservative or liberal side of things is losing party big time. They're struggling to get their number of seats in Congress that they're hoping to get. And the Japanese First Party, make Japanese great again, right? And I bet if they put that in some sort of cool Japanese words that they could get a cool like sound and acronym, you know. But Japanese First Party emerges as election force with tough immigration talk. They're getting more centralized like everywhere is right now. This crazy communist super left progressive thing happened and they didn't get hold. They didn't win the day. They didn't, and everybody's pulling back and taking control from this group of mad, crazy people that have dadgum problems, taking them out of the loop. Analyzing the ambiguity over the American NATO arms arrangement for Ukraine. It's just a lot of questions around this. Are they doing this to try to get Europe to get more involved, right? Just like basically the United States, like, go ahead and give us the money. And then you can give your weapons up. Because right now we don't have a lot of weapons. We've been giving them away to everybody lately. And we don't have a lot. So, no, we're not giving any of our weapons right now. We'll make you some. They'll be shiny and new. So they don't want to give up their stuff either. So now they're talking about, oh, well, we'll send out this French Italian made stuff. And it's like, all right, but I mean, how many of those do you got lying around? Oh, I don't know. Yeah, so that's not working well. Most people realizing that Ukraine right now is underselling how many people are actually dying. The struggles they're having keeping this war going. The number of people that are dying on a regular basis. Now, it does seem when Russia attacks that few people die there. But any place on the front, any soldiers that are stuck up there are going to get smoked. And certainly some Russians are losing their life. So what are we really doing here? What does Russia need to do? Can we just talk Ukraine into giving up? Dude, can you just pull your troops back and then give them that buffer zone? And that's how we're going to leave it. You all will stop dying, and then we can start rebuilding what's left of your country. Or you can continue to be a douchehole and die, I guess? I don't know. And I feel like that's kind of what Zelensky's been able to do all this time is, well, you got to give us, because this has to happen. This war has to continue, so you got to give us stuff. And everybody's like, what? Sorry. Sometimes I yawn really hard and my ears don't work. So, rare inside look, this is kind of crazy. This is Russia showing off. They're like, here's how many drones we can make. Easy. Here's what we're doing every day. And again, I'm not trying to be all Putin puppet here. These are all structures for drones. And they're putting in electronics, explosives, all sorts of stuff. That's a process. I'm sure they probably can pop out 2-3 of these a day, each person. Probably. They got a lot of stock. They're making them by the hundreds. That's a bunch of people working there. That's a big warehouse. Russia has a war footing going on. They're just prepared. Europe's not. They're not making weapons. We are, but we need to make them faster. Israel is, but again, you can only do what you can do. And then bigger fights. So Russia has confirmed the use of their hypersonic weapon. The Kinzhal was used yet again in this next attack. 420. 420. A bunch of people were like, dude, it's fun as 420 Jones, man. That's so rad. And there was supposedly 20 missiles also shot, resulting in 2 people dead. Hopefully they were not good people, but we don't know. And 15 injured. Very sad, right? Again, war needs to stop. I don't know what Russia wants. I think they've made it very clear. I mean, I think they've been very clear. We want a denazification, get rid of all their weapons. Then we want them to be able to have an election, and we want a buffer zone for the areas that they were attacking. That's it. And we're cool, right? So I think they're close to being at that place, but I think Zelensky is going to try to play some weird deep state card that's not going to go. And I don't know how Trump's going to handle that. I'm kind of looking forward to that part of the movie. Again, things are fantabulous right now. Proud Patriots, another cool company. They've just got really cool stuff. I feel bad. The link is going to be towards the top on this video just to make it easier in the description. Otherwise, it's like crazy. It's www.proudpatriots.us/78 capital D, capital T, capital M, capital M /6 capital H 52 capital N, capital D, right? That's ridiculous. It's the only way to give me help on this. Like, you guys get anything? I got a couple pennies off it, right? They got some really cool stuff, though. They got the $2 bill. This is really popular. They're saying it's legal tender. I don't know about that. I don't want to make that claim, but I've heard that. They've got the B-2 stealth bomber, genuine legal tender U.S. $2 bill. They're saying, I mean, you might have a hard time getting somebody to take it, but if it could, maybe. That's pretty cool, though. Look at that. Stealth bomber, $2 bill that's supposed to be legal tender. That's pretty cool. B-2 stealth bomber, all sorts of good stuff in here. The cards, collectible cards, Trump riding a gator, alligator Alcatraz. There's so much cool. These guys kind of really know how to make Trump great again. Got the $2 bill with Musk on there. That's probably going down in a whole section of collectible currencies and coins and stuff like that. Again, just really cool stuff. Hit the link. It's just easier if you could, and you're helping me out. I appreciate that. But just really neat stuff. All right, the Trumpinator bear. I've got him sitting right over here. I love that. That was one of the coolest things ever. Again, the Donald Trump $2 bills, genuine legal tender. All right, here's another one with him signing it. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to spend it, frankly. But yeah, again, just cool stuff. MAGA watch. They got so many cool things. Hit that Proud Patriots location, the link, please. Make sure you subscribe to me while you're digging into whatever description box you're looking at. It will help, or it's on the screen. If you can pause it and type that in exactly as you see it, that works too. That works too, helping me out. But yeah, they've got some really, really cool stuff. Proud Patriots is doing it right when it comes to all this different bestsellers, collectibles, right? They've got just cool stuff. These are the bestsellers right now. Bullet into the glass, like that's cool, right? Just, again, sweet stuff. Keep fighting, bobblehead, dude. The Melania $2 bill, dadgummit. Well, not at the second, but I got a discount. Woo! Go to this chart right here, proudpatriots.us, all the numbers and stuff. And you, too, can be just stoked that you got this little cute thing in your hands, right? Israel, I don't know what's going on. I am very confused. They seem like they're trying to push the war further, trying to get everyone out of Gaza, obviously. Maybe it's all for the proper reasons. I keep seeing stories that Palestine's really good. The left is really good at putting out that makes Israel look like assholes. We've certainly got one of those stories here. So I don't know. They got new evacuation orders trying to get people out of Gaza. People aren't wanting to totally get out of Gaza. There's some examples here. Israeli settlers apparently accused of killing 117 sheep belonging to the West Bank. These dudes are running around with sticks hitting everybody. It was kind of messed up video. So again, I don't know what's going on. I don't think this is like the IDF that's doing this, but this is some asshole Israeli, and it's probably the bad Israelis, by the way, the ones that everybody talks about. I don't know the proper terms of which ones are the actual Khazarian part, and there's that embedded little piece. It's not all Jews by any stretch of the imagination, just like it's not all Americans, it's not all Chinese, it's not all Iranians, it's not all North Koreans, it's not all, right? It's not all of us, not all Russians. It's the deep state component. Actually, Russia's probably more, maybe, hopefully more clean than a lot of places. Netanyahu's corruption trial has been delayed over food poisoning. Again, Trump is like, this thing should stop. So whatever's going on in Israel, they're trying to get Benjamin Netanyahu big time. The war he's trying to keep, I think, going because it's the only way that he can hold this spot. I don't think Trump can just come out and say, Benjamin Netanyahu, you're an evil man. Like, I don't think he could do that. I just don't think he can. So how this plays out, again, this is an interesting part of the story because many of us know is save Israel for last, which kind of there. I mean, we're still waiting on Taiwan, and that's going to probably get done outside of war, but it will get done. This is sad. Malcolm Jamal Warner. It was funny when I heard the name. I'm like, I know that name. What do I know that name from? And then I was like, oh, he's the one that played Theo in the Cosby Show. Like, I used to watch the hell out of that show. He died at 54. He drowned on a family trip, drowning, which is kind of interesting. Just in, I don't know if he was going to come out with some information because he would have been a young actor, probably came up prior to the Cosby Show, certainly involved with Cosby. Oh, my pudding pot. Right? I don't know if I do. That's a horrible Cosby, but whatever. Right? Like who knows what he saw? Yeah, he died on a family trip, drowning. Which there's a stereotype baked into that one too. It's just like, I hope it sounded like he was swimming, so he was planning on swimming. He knew whether he could swim or not, I hope. Is Tesla trying to bury the truth about autopilot crashes? An automotive expert weighed in, but apparently this member of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration member says that releasing crash data tied to its self-driving features, they're blocking this release of information. And Tesla's fighting it because they feel like it's going to give an unfair advantage to other companies. And maybe it's because they've got an overwhelming larger number of people using self-driving technology versus other places. So maybe there's hiccups in the software. Maybe there's some things that are not necessarily bad, right? And again, it's kind of like the Epstein Files, which is funny that he's having the same karma right now. But it's much like the Epstein Files. Just because you were on the plane, we would assume you're guilty. Well, I wouldn't, but a lot of people will assume you're guilty, right? That's how they're going to slime people, just like this letter that Trump supposedly sent to Epstein, right? Like, it must be true, huh? No. And so people are going to assume what they're going to assume based off of the data. But when you don't have context to the data, when you can't see it next to another example, like, oh, here's the next one down, Volvo or whatever, that is self-driving. And they've got 147 people using it. And Tesla over here has 87,000 people using it. And they've had 2 crashes, right? Like, well, comparatively, that's pretty good, actually. You're hitting close to 6 Sigma, which is allowed. There will be crashes, unfortunately. That sucks. That's why you should probably pay attention if you've got self-driving happening. These automatic cars are going to go very slow, hopefully. But again, how they do that, if they're programmed routes, I don't know. I don't know how much I'll trust that for a while. I won't feel comfortable walking in front of it. Hackers exploit Microsoft flaw to launch a global attack. They're trying to say only 100 companies got involved with or affected by this. It was a SharePoint vulnerability that was taken advantage of. I would assume it was many more than 100, but who knows? And nowadays, I don't know if it's good guys or bad guys, frankly. This could have been a white hat hack. You never know, because if it is only 100 companies, then which companies would be very curious and what kind of weird stuff? Because SharePoint, they keep all sorts of interesting docs typically. And I don't know, I've always hated it. It seems like it always seems so. I mean, company I worked at, we had a bunch. I'd love to have known whether or not they were affected by it. I assume they were. I'm sure their site got patched and hopefully works now. But yeah, we had a lot of documents on there. So it's something's happening. Reddit now requires age verification in the UK to comply with the nation's Online Safety Act. Europe's doing a lot of weird stuff right now, and a lot of American companies are having to deal with that in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, either prove that your age, which I wonder how you do. If it's just a pop-up that says, "Are you older than 15? Or are you 16 and over?" and you just click yes, that's verification. Okay. I mean, I don't want them giving any sort of face print or something. Again, that would be taken advantage of. So I don't. All of this seems very much child predator oriented to me. Everyone's hiding it under the guise that we're trying to protect children. I think you're very much trying to identify children. You're trying to identify targets. That's what I think. That's exactly what they're doing. And it's Europe, who we know is still nasty. Europe's online censorship laws could restrict Americans too, analysts say. We'll see. That's what it's supposed to do. That's the point. Let the communists over there in Europe decide what American companies can do. Trump is absolutely against that. Musk is kind of on his own at this point, but whatever. We'll see what he has to deal with. Truth Social is so small that they're not going to mess with him. But if something happens to Twitter, X, whatever, then yeah, everybody knows where they can go. Alaska Airlines, they had to shut down for 3 hours because of some software outage. They didn't really get too specific on what happened, but they had to shut down 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. This was Pacific time on, I believe, Sunday night. So yeah, it was sucked for any planes that were on the ground still. They did not get off the ground. Yeah, 3 hour. And obviously, if it's late in the day like that too, like I know the airport I typically fly out of, they won't leave past 10. 10 o'clock's it. I don't think you can land past 10. Like they're just, maybe you can land for a little while. I don't know, I feel like I've gotten in a little after 10. I forget where the actual cutoff is, but yeah, taking off, no, hell no. Can't take off before 7. So yeah, Alaska was probably in a bit of pain from that. And finally this, which yeah, I already played, so that's good. Lots happening, folks. Like I said, like I've been saying, it's a crazy ride, and just understand that a lot's going to be thrown at us. They're doing everything they can to get us to be pissed off at Trump and everybody in Trump's cabinet. Any stories that come out that lean us in that direction, just even lean us in that direction, should be looked at slightly more critically. I'm not saying Trump's not going to make mistakes. What I am saying is I think he's got our best interest at heart, and I think he is doing everything he can to try to make America great again, make our lives great again, and get these stupid deep state bastards out of there. I look forward to finding out what happens with the Russiagate stuff. I bet you do too. Please hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe. Music-wise, coming up Friday, I got it. We're doing Vietnam music. Like, totally, like, every song's, like, really kind of in that Vietnam-esque region. Like, you guys know a bunch of the songs. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a good set of music, and I think you're going to enjoy. So come hang out with us and, I don't know, spark something up maybe. Maybe get a drink going. Get yourself ready. It'll be 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern. Perfect time to start your weekend on the Fringe with the musical spotlight. So please join us with our Vietnam music coming up this week. I love you guys. Where we go one, we go all. It's on the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.